And welcome to The Bottom Line, where we dig deep into some of the main business and economic stories of the day. The EU-Mercosur trade agreement aims to create a free trade zone with more than 700 million people. It's been in the making for 25 years, but suddenly this week it became a point of contention. To discuss this, I'm now joined by Grzegorz Kozieja, head of the International Department of Food and Agriculture at BNP Paribas. Hello, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, the farmers say that signing the deal will be detrimental to European agriculture. How well-founded are their fears?
Well, they have some grounds, definitely. We must remember this agreement has been in negotiation for decades. So the world where it started, it's a bit different than the world we have now. So that is a fact that we don't have yet hard-defined requirements in this agreement from the South American producers that farmers in the EU face. So there is some ground in concern. Why
has it seems to us viewers and to those who read the papers that it's suddenly cropped up this week? Probably hasn't, but why has it suddenly come up now?
Well, it's not new to me because this discussion returned a few weeks ago in the agriculture information bubble. It's a good period politically. We had a G20 meeting in Brazil last week, and it is a very important deal for Brazil. It's also an important deal for some countries in the EU, which are more into industry, not so much interested in agriculture in this deal, like Germany, for example. And we know everybody that the economy in Germany had better times in the past. That's this coincidence that makes it front pages.
And the so-called anti-EU-Mercosur coalition that Poland is part of, how influential, how strong is it in its current form?
The leader of this group is France, and in France it's a strong stance that in the current form this is not a perfect deal for their farmers, their agriculture. And that's the most prominent country. In order to stop this deal from happening, the countries in the group need to collect, as far as I remember, 35% of the population in the EU. So it must be that large, over one third, and Poland and France are the leaders there.
Is it realistic for them to actually bring any changes to the table, to the negotiations?
France is a strong player in the EU, and their view is pretty clear on how this deal should be shaped. So, in my opinion, there is a chance to make changes in the deal. Overall, probably some kind of a deal with Mercosur is beneficial for the EU as a whole and its whole economy. But some details may need tweaking.
And what kind of details are those?
The key concern for me are the equal rules that the farmers need to adhere to, and the mechanisms of control on the ground where the farmers operate. So everybody in Europe, from farmers to consumers, must be sure that these regulations that are agreed in the deal are actually adhered to in South America.
We hear that Ursula von der Leyen is intent on signing the deal before the end of the year, and even Brazil's President Lula has said that he feels that the deal is really to be signed with her and not with the EU. Do you think that perhaps there will be some adaptations to the ratification process in order to make that happen? Do you think that's realistic?
Well, I'm not really a specialist in the EU matters. Definitely, there are strong.
But how much of a push do you think there will be to make this treaty a reality?
I think both sides, let's say, pro and contra the deal are quite strong. So I think the pressures from both sides will be quite strong. South America is probably the only large region in the world where Europe can still build very strong ties. So I think the need felt by everybody is quite strong.
Mm-hmm. And now I wanted to speak about Poland's agriculture and especially the farmers. What aspects of Poland's agriculture and the Polish farmers will be or could be impacted the most by this trade deal?
There are two areas of production I think the farmers in Poland are most concerned with. This is beef and poultry, especially chicken meat. Poland is the largest producer and exporter of poultry meat in Europe. It's also a large player in beef. 90% of Polish production goes to international markets. So these are the areas that raise the highest concerns. Obviously, everybody needs to go into details of the deal because there are some limits to the quotas that are set there. But still, when we have a deal, this could be easier modified than without the deal. Mm-hmm. That's why the deals probably concerns us a lot.
And what about the wider European market and European farmers? Because there are some initial figures that have come out that suggest that actually the South American market would actually impact the European market in a very minimal way. There was an article that came out in Politico that said that it would be 2 burgers and 2 chicken breasts per consumer per year.
Well, the devil is in details, mm-hmm. As always. So yes, when you look at large numbers, large statistics, yes, you may say it's 0.5% of this, 1% of that, but we need to remember that the volumes here are large. Mm-hmm. So even the smallest percents, they mean a certain number of producers that may be impacted by that. I'm not saying they will be squeezed out of the market, but it means adjusting to a new situation, maybe redefining your prices, maybe changing the relations you have with your current off-takers. So it is a bit of a trouble for such consumers, and it's made because of a political deal. So the concerns that are raised are political as well.
Mm-hmm. And one of the big issues, one of the big threads of this whole discussion is that farmers are saying that their counterparts in South America don't actually have to comply with as many regulations as they need to in Europe. And even the Polish politicians are raising that as one of the main issues. What is your take on that? Where is that level playing field for everyone?
Well, EU is probably world champion in regulations and the most innovative area with respect to that. So yes, we have a lot of reporting. We have some benefits that go together with it. So the whole common agriculture policy, it supports farmers, but requires reporting and regulations and bureaucracy. Yes, the other continents, it's not only Southern America, they are less regulated, and there is, let's put it this way, more flexibility in how you operate your agriculture activities.
But can you give us an example of that?
Well, we are now preparing for a thing that is called the CSRD directive. So it is a directive that shall require the companies, large companies, large and medium companies to report their environmental footprint in a quite precise way. So at the level of accuracy that they report their financial situation. And in order to report that, you need your suppliers, farmers in our case, to measure things, to report them so well that you can use it in your actually statements that you produce at the end of the year. So there will be around 50,000 companies required to report this in Europe. Everybody has suppliers, so even if you are not in the scope of this directive, you shall be in need to report things related to that. So this is one of the examples that we are facing now.
So will this somehow be extended to the South American companies, should this trade deal go ahead?
the CSRD may be covering their chapters in Europe, but more farmers in Europe will be covered, have relations with the companies that are under CSRD. Like a larger percent of farmers in Europe needs to adhere to these requirements.
Mm-hmm. And just as we wrap up, how could this trade deal affect regular consumers? Because I think there's a lot of concern about the quality of the food that might be coming from South America.
Well, I wouldn't be afraid of the situation that something that comes to Europe harms us in a like rapid way. Mm-hmm. Still, Europe has the safest food in the world. So. There won't be poison coming. Mm-hmm. But it may happen that we shall not be having in shops all of the products in the quality from the beginning till the end of the supply chain in the quality that we wish for in Europe and for what we build all those regulations and systems.
So are you saying that basically the food might be of lower quality?
Well, I wouldn't exclude such an opportunity because we have such a possibility because we, under current form of the deal, I'm not saying under any form of the deal with Mercosur, we may not have the full control and the equal conditions from the field till the fork.
Okay, Grzegorz Kozieja, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And that was Grzegorz Kozieja joining us from BNP Paribas, and I was your host, Marie Cato. Join us again tomorrow for Business Arena at 5 p.m. CET on TVP World. And for the latest in regional business, follow us on X and on tvpworld.com. And for more news and features, stay with us on TVP World. Goodbye.